Empowerment of women and other weaker sections. 1952. Women's right to alimony. 1972. Women's who faced the brunt of scarcity of supplies and rising prices gave a show of their strength as an organized entity. 1973. The Chipko movement. 1975. The Government of India constituted the Committee on the Status of Women and appointed Dr. Phul Renu Guha as its chairman. 1975. Stree Mukti Sangharsh Samiti Conference was held. 1976. Pramila Dandeveets established the Mahila Dakshita Samiti. 1977. International Women Day. 1977. Stree Mukti Andolan Samiti was established by Sudhamini Rao. 1978. Samiti published its manifesto. 1984. Family courts were established. 1992. A movement was started against drinking of alcohol. In this chapter, we shall review the important contributions of women in all fields in the post-independence period. We shall also study about the laws enacted for women and other weaker sections. Vinoba Bhave made use of women power in the Bhudan movement, which he had started placing his faith in Mahatma Gandhi's philosophy. Women volunteers carried the message of Bhudan to all parts of India. Women played a significant role in the Telangana peasants' armed struggle, which challenged the rule of the Nizams and the feudal system. As their region became free from bonded labor, women also found freedom from this torment. Manifestation of women power. Women who have to face the brunt of scarcity of supplies and rising prices gave a show of their strength as an organized entity in 1972. Under the leadership of the socialist leader Mrinal Gore, women in Mumbai participated in a demonstration which came to be known as the Latne Morcha, the rolling pin demonstration. Commodities like oil, ghee, rava, maida would become scarce just as Diwali was near at hand. Kerosene had become very expensive. Women came together, brandishing their rolling pins, and took part in the demonstration. This movement met with success and the public got a glimpse of the united power of women. The Chipko movement. Another show of constructive women power was seen during the Chipko movement in 1973. Trees from the forests in the foothills of the Himalayas were to be cut down for commercial purposes. Chandi Prasad Bhatt and Sundar Lal Bahuguna had started a movement to prevent this. Women followed the strategy of holding hands and encircling each tree. As their method consisted of protecting the tree by embracing it, the movement came to be known as the Chipko movement. Women took part in it in large numbers. Women had a big role to play in the agricultural economy of this region. Gaura Devi was the activist who created this awareness among the women with the help of Sudesha Devi and Bachani Devi. Anti-liquor movement. In 1992, in Andhra Pradesh, a movement was started against the drinking of alcohol. It received a good response in other states too. When the head of the household dies an untimely death due to addiction to alcohol, the family faces a serious crisis which affects women the most. Due to alcoholism, they have to deal with extreme sorrow and poverty. This movement got the support of the anti-Arak movement in Andhra Pradesh. As a result of a government policy, Arak, a locally produced alcohol dealers, set up shop in every town and village. The poor laboring people began to get addicted to alcohol. At the same time, a literacy program was being run in the villages of the state. The Sitama Katha, that is, Sita's story, was narrated as a part of this program. It was a story about Sita, who creates awareness among the people of a village and gets alcohol to be banned from the village. In 1992, 3 youths of the Dabu Ganta village of Nellore district in Andhra Pradesh drowned in a lake, in a state of inebriation, and died. At this instance, the women of the village came together and forced the closure of arak shops. The report of this news in the local newspapers had its effect on many other villages. International Women's Year. The United Nations had declared 1975 as the International Women's Year. The 3 aspects of this program were peace, development, and equality between men and women. In 1975, the Government of India constituted the Committee on the Status of Women and appointed Dr. Phul Renu Guha as its chairman. A comprehensive survey was conducted of several issues, such as the social position of women, their status, the consequences of the constitutional provisions made for women, and also education of women and its percentage, their progress due to education, difficulties faced by working women, the position of women with respect to work, livelihood. Taking into consideration this entire background, a statewide conference for women was held in 1975, organized by the Stri Mukti Sangharsha Samiti. Women from all walks of life, regions participated in it. The Samiti published its manifesto in 1978. The policy of a struggle against discrimination on the basis of gender, caste and varna was adopted. This gave rise to a collection of songs called Stri Mukti Chi Lalkari, a street play called Mulgi Jhali Ho by Jyoti Mahapsekar, and a periodical called Prerak Lalkari, which became their mouthpiece, and other such programs. In 1977, groups like the Stri Mukti Andolan Samiti, established by Saudamini Rao in Pune, Bayaja, a fortnightly, as also Stri Vach, Maitri and Stri Anyay Virodhi Manch in Aurangabad, Mahila Dakshata Samiti in Kolhapur, Mahila Hakka in Nasik, and Nari Prabodhan Manch in Latur were formed. Anti-dowry protection committees were formed all over Maharashtra. A conference to protest against oppression of women was organized in Dhule city. Vidya Bal's periodicals Nari Samta Manch and Milun Saryajani, as also the work of Samajwadi Mahila Sabha and the Krantikari Mahila Sanghatana, were of great help in dealing with women's issues. The Employment Guarantee Scheme in Maharashtra also helped to empower women. Pramila Dandavate established the Mahila Dakshata Samiti in Delhi in 1976. Branches of the Samiti came up in the state of Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Odisha, Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh and Punjab. The Communist Party established the Akhil Bharatiya Janvadi Mahila Sangathan in 1980. Efforts were made to start branches of this organization in all parts of India. The Sangathan started a struggle against issues like dowry, female foeticide, domestic abuse. Research on women's issue was undertaken at various levels. Women's studies centers were started at the first women's university, the Srimati Nathibai Damodar Thakrese, SNDT Women's University, Mumbai, and at Tata Institute of Social Sciences, Mumbai, Savitri Bai Phule Pune University and Shivaji University, Kolhapur. These centers played an important role in critical analysis and in developing a vision on women's issues. Laws for women. The law enacted in 1952 recognizes women's right to alimony and their share in the father's property. Her right to Stridhan was recognized. Polygamy was made illegal and women, just like men, got the right to sue for divorce. It was a law that took one step forward concerning women's issues over the following decade. The Dowry Prohibition Act of 1961 made both giving and taking of dowry a cognizable criminal offence. This dismantled the dowry tradition by its roots and further encouraged a social movement. The law alleviated the distress of women caused by the undesirable tradition of dowry. The Maternity Benefit Act, which gave women the right to get leave from work at the time of childbirth, also came into force in 1961. Awareness against the dowry tradition. Even after the enactment of anti-dowry law, incidents like woman burns to death as sari pallu catches fire while cooking and woman sleeps into well while washing clothes, drowns and dies continues to be reported. Investigations still revealed dowry to be the most frequent cause of such deaths. The role of the police, the administration and judiciary were highlighted. This created greater awareness. As a result, the Dowry Prohibition Amendment Act came into force in 1984. In 1988, 2,209 women died victim to the dowry tradition. In 1990, the number of dowry deaths were 4,835. And in 1993, it was 5,377. These numbers will impress upon you the seriousness of the issue. Family Courts, 1984. Family courts were established to resolve conflicts arising out of differences within marriage and domestic problems, as well as issues such as alimony, single parenthood, separation, care of children and ownership, which are all related to the family situation. These family courts give priority to mutual understanding over witnesses and evidence and to counselors over lawyers. Emphasis is on resolving issues quickly but justly. Trial involving alimony, 1985. A fixed amount paid to a married woman for her upkeep by the husband who has divorced her is called alimony. In the case of Muhammad Ahmad Khan versus Shah Bano Begum, the Supreme Court gave the verdict that Shah Bano Begum had the right to alimony. However, religious organizations protested vociferously against the verdict. As a result, the Muslim Women's Act, Protection of Rights on Divorce, was passed by Parliament. Protection of Human Rights Act. In 1993, this law was enacted to prevent injustice to men and women. The National Human Rights Commission was also formed for this purpose. In some states, the State Human Rights Commission was also formed on the same lines. This law, which deals with collective oppression, the social conditions of divorced women, women and secure workplaces, played an effective role in mitigating injustices to women. Reservation for women. The 73rd and 74th Amendments to the Constitution provide for reservation of 1/3 of the seats for women in Gram Panchayats, Panchayat Samitis, Zilla Parishads, municipalities and municipal corporations, as well as for the posts of Sarpanch, Chairman and Mayor. Maharashtra and 15 other states have reserved 50% seats for women. This provision provides women the opportunity to participate in the business of the community. Scheduled castes. In the post-independence period, our Constitution adopted the values of freedom, equality, fraternity, and social justice. In accordance with his, the practice of untouchability was banned by law. Untouchability was removed by the 17th paragraph of the Constitution, and this class was included in the scheduled castes. In view of the educational and social backwardness of these castes, they were given reservations in education as well as jobs to facilitate their development. Scheduled tribes. Just like the scheduled castes, the scheduled tribes or the Adivasis, who live in remote parts of the country, also face several difficulties. As they have lived far away from the progress made in modern times, they are economically and socially backward. Even though their conditions have seen some improvement in recent times, they do not have any means of livelihood other than agriculture and forest produce. Modern farming implements have not yet reached them. Hence, their income from agriculture is very small. Besides, their fields are on hillsides and not fertile. They are malnourished due to insufficient and poor quality of diet. Adivasis in remote areas find it difficult to get medical attention in time. Nomadic and denotified tribes. Castes and tribes that move from place to place for livelihood are included under nomadic tribes. They live by rearing animals and engaging in some other occupations. The British had declared some of them as criminal tribes. In the law of 1871, to curb crimes, some of the main groups were mentioned as criminal tribes, and their occupations and movements were banned. Minorities. In any society, a group of people of a particular religion, language, or race who are few in number are termed as minority. As there are various religions, sects, and languages in our country, we see great cultural diversity. There is a variation in cultural traditions too. In order to preserve their cultural traditions and develop their own language, the Constitution gives the citizens certain educational and cultural rights. Summary. You have learnt that Vinoba Bhave made use of woman power in the Bhudan movement, which he had started placing his faith in Mahatma Gandhi's philosophy. Under the leadership of the socialist leader Mrinal Gore, women in Mumbai participated in a demonstration which came to be known as the Latne Morcha, that is, the rolling pin demonstration. Another show of constructive women power was seen during the Chipko movement in 1973. Trees from the forests in the foothills of the Himalayas were to be cut down for commercial purposes. In 1992, in Andhra Pradesh, a movement was started against the drinking of alcohol. It received a good response in other states too. In 1975, the Government of India constituted the Committee on the Status of Women and appointed Dr. Phul Renu Guha as its chairman. Vidya Bal's periodicals, Nari Samata Manch and Milun Suryajani, as also the work of Samajwadi Mahila Sabha and the Krantikari Mahila Sangathan, were of great help in dealing with women's issues. The law enacted in 1952 recognizes women's right to alimony and their share in the father's property. Family courts were established to resolve conflicts arising out of differences within marriage and domestic problems, as well as issues such as alimony, single parenthood, separation, care of children, and ownership, which are all related to the family situation. In 1993, this law was enacted to prevent injustice to men and women. The National Human Rights Commission was also formed for this purpose.